it is time for me to finally address the real. Hey y'all, welcome back to Lavender Book Company. I'm Kat. I'm a children's book author and illustrator, and I'm very inspired by the classics. So here I'm just giving you a behind the scenes on creating children's books, what it's like to make mine, what it's like to have a small business, a small publishing company, and all the kind of fun jazz. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely subscribe. I'd love to have you around. I'm in a little bit of a different setup today. My kids are in their quiet time, so I'm trying to hurry and bust this out. So I didn't want to run all the way downstairs because I just knew I'd be interrupted. So that's why. So I've been waiting to talk about this reel. I was really wanting for it to like really die down before I talked about it, and it seems like it's finally starting to lose steam. So I posted it weeks ago, like weeks and weeks ago, and it has since garnered well over 1.3 million views. Did not expect it. This is the reel in question. It kills me to see, not just as a children's book author, but as a mom, it kills me to see children's books go from this to this. Yeah, so as you can see, there's about like 50,000 likes on it, and a whole bunch of shares, comments. I totally did not expect that reel to do that. Okay, did not expect that at all. I was completely shocked. It's always the most random reels that like absolutely take off. It's so bizarre. After like going through the comments, a lot of the comments would have been answered if people would have read my pinned comment. And I just get reminded when these reels go viral that not everybody reads everything you write. So just be prepared. Be prepared to answer the same question over and over and over again, or you'll say, refer to my pinned comment, refer to my pinned comment. I wanted to address some of the points in the comments because I think they made really good points. They brought up some really like valid things. And so I wanted to talk about them. So there was actually 4 things that were kind of the main theme between all the comments that people were not too happy with me about. So I wanted to go through and address each point, like on video, like in more of a long form content style. So then that way I can kind of bring up this discussion. So let me know what your thoughts down below are once we kind of get to the different points, because I want to know if other people are feeling the same way that I am. So let's go ahead and just get into the points. Who cares? That was the main one. That was a popular one. Was who cares? I think it does matter, and I think we all should care. I think as parents we should care, as society we should care. I think we honestly should care about what books and what TV shows and all these things that are being thrown to kids. We should care about what's in them, and we should care about the quality and the standard of them. Now, like I said, enjoying these every once in a while is fine, but the main frustration comes in, and what I meant by this reel was the books were not a comparative. And I think some people kind of misread me on that, where the books were more a representation of like the majority of children's books today. Today, it feels like all you find are the silly books, and that's where a lot of frustration comes in from parents. And when I made this reel, I wasn't just speaking from my own experience, spending hours and hours in thrift shops and libraries and the bookstores trying to find books. This also came from all the interactions and conversations that I've had with parents online and in person, like at my farmers markets. So I know it's not just me. I know a lot of people feel the frustration of this. And so that's what I meant by like the reel in general. And so you could say, you know, who cares? But ultimately, I think we should all care about what our kids are being offered up. I think it's kind of wrong for us as a society to kind of turn a blind eye as to what the kids nowadays are being offered. And it matters to me because my kids are involved in that. So I wanted to offer up something better for my kids. And that's one of the reasons why I started making my children's books. Okay, now this one I thought was a good point, but I think there's more facets to it. So the main thing, no matter how you word it, I've had several people say this in the comments, was if it gets a kid into reading, like, what's the harm? Obviously, kids are going to have different interests, and you should feed into those different interests. You should offer your kids a variety of different things, different art styles, different writing styles. You should offer them all those different things. But ultimately, you can't just offer them just silly books, because it's like offering your kids only junk food and then wondering why they're malnourished in some way. Books are a type of food for the mind, and that's why it's so important to also give your kids this higher quality literature as well. So while we all typically have like that one book that will spark our love of reading, which is wonderful, we should all do that, ultimately we also need to offer our kids higher quality literature as well. So while there's no issue sitting down and enjoying a fart book with kids because they think it's funny, you should also offer them just beautifully illustrated, beautifully written books, because it really does make a difference for kids in many different aspects. Okay, I had a lot of people come at me and say I was dragging other people down. Now, to me, what I did was not dragging people down. I did not like rip into the author. I didn't rip into the illustrator. I didn't talk about like how much I just hated and despised the book, which I don't. I was just using it as like a representation of what a lot of parents find nowadays. And so I wasn't dragging down the author, and I think a lot of people understood where I was coming from. But I think at the same time, people have to understand that when you create something and you put it out into the public, you're opening up for opinion. And that's just something that comes with being in the public in any facet, in any capacity. I know me being on a public platform, putting myself on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, anytime I put myself out there, I'm opening myself up to opinion. So that's why I'm very careful of what I put online, what I say online, the way I speak online. I try to be very careful of that. But I also know that people are entitled to their opinion. And I think there's a level of healthy criticism that we should all have, because I think this also helps us always kind of keep the bar higher. Like, children's books have just lowered the bar. And I think for some reason, people aren't afraid to say that they hate a movie, or they're not afraid to say they hate a song, or whatever it is. But when it comes to children's books, people are then all of a sudden very scared to like critique these things. And while I do want to encourage other people to be children's book authors, I've had several people reach out to my DMs, very sweet people who have said, like, you've inspired me to pick up art again. You've inspired me to work on my children's book that I have shelved for years, and stories like that. I want us to be able to inspire each other, but we should always be trying to help each other stretch ourselves and reach a higher bar. And I think there's a way to do that. And obviously I don't condone like being really harsh to people or just being like overly critical or rude, but I think there is a level of healthy criticism that does help us keep a standard on ourselves as well. And I know by putting my books out there and putting my art out there, as I share my illustrations, as I share my current book that's out right now, people are going to have their opinions on it, and that's totally fine. People are entitled to their opinions. I think there's always a tasteful way to do things. Now, if I would have dragged that book down and then tried to boost my own up, which a couple of people were accusing me of when I never mentioned my own book, I think that would have been completely different. I think that would have been inappropriate. Technically, I didn't really say anything specific about that book. I kind of just made a face. I was trying to be really careful of how I went about that. So I mean no hate to like anyone. We all have our personal taste in books. Healthy criticism is necessary, especially in a creative space, so we don't like settle. And I think we should always be trying to help stretch each other. All right, the fourth thing that I got the most, in some way, shape, or form, like, you're not a librarian, therefore you're not an expert, therefore you can't talk about what you're talking about. Like, you can't criticize things. And like, basically I'm completely wrong when I say that there are no good books. And I was very careful to also say that I never said that there was no good books at all nowadays. I never said that, and I was very careful about that. There are beautiful books today, but they're becoming harder to find. And this is what I kind of specified in my caption, in my pinned comment. I have never claimed to be an expert. I have never claimed to be a librarian. I've never claimed to do any of that stuff, okay?
I'm not a boxer. I'm not a fighter. I've never claimed to be a fighter.
Anyone who's followed me from the beginning knows that I am exactly what I am. And that's pretty much it. Like I am a mom who's very passionate about this and who just wants to bring beautiful books to kids. Yeah, that's cute. I'm down for that. My sister-in-law wants to buy me a matching shirt. I think this comment was very interesting on kind of many levels because one, I've never claimed to be an expert in really anything. I have always shared my journey kind of from the very beginning. I've had people on my Instagram, bless you guys, by the way, that have followed me from the very beginning, where my account initially started out as me just talking about children's classics, and then it developed into something totally different. And so I really thank those people for kind of sticking around as I kind of remorphed my account a couple times, actually. I am a mom of two who was frustrated with the books that I was finding today. And after having my own kids, I was able to see the power of books, and it kind of reignited this love for the classics. And then I got this idea of Theodore, and everything just kind of snowballed from there. Everything just kind of led from that point. I totally did not see myself making children's books a couple years ago, but honestly, it was like through this journey that I've been able to like basically discover my passion, and this is what I want to do the rest of my life. I have always loved art, and this is something that I kind of mentioned to a couple of people in the comments was I don't speak from an expert's perspective on like a librarian, for example. That was one that was like thrown at me a lot. And while I appreciate their experience and their knowledge, and I think there's things to be learned from them, I explained that I am speaking from the perspective of making children's books and from the perspective of a mom who was looking and looking and looking and looking for modern day books that I would want to bring home to my kids, like higher quality books to bring home to my kids. I speak from that experience because I do feel very confident in the art aspect. I have spent many years in art classes and learning lots of things about art. I know my art style, it may not be like a classical art style. It may not be like just these like hyper realistic paintings. It's my art style that I enjoy making, especially for kids' books. I feel like they fit well with a kid's book. There's a lot that I feel very confident in the art world. It's something that I've just always have done as a kid. I took classes from kindergarten through college. And so that's what I speak on, and that's where I speak from when it comes to children's books. I don't pretend to be anything that I'm not. And I also think that it's an interesting perspective for people to come in and basically say, because I'm an expert in this field, like now your opinion and your experience doesn't matter. And that was kind of a lot of the comments that I got. And I feel like that's very frustrating. I feel like that's very frustrating for people in a lot of different capacities, not just what I'm specifically talking about. I don't think that any expert should have the final say onto how you feel or view something. I think that we should learn from everyone. We should learn from their perspectives and their experiences and their knowledge, because there is value there and we can't discount that. But ultimately, you have the final say. Ultimately, you decide what's best for your family, what's best for yourself. And so it doesn't really matter what the experts say, because I don't really think the experts should have the final say for just absolutely everything on what you should bring into your home or what you should listen to or what you should read. Take everything with a grain of salt and then go with it. Even though I have my viewpoints on children's books, you might not feel the same way, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. And you know what? The world would be such a boring place if we all felt the exact same way. And how sad would it be if we just discounted everything from everyone simply because of one person's opinion or one expert's opinion? Because while there might be people who feel like there are many great books, and I'm glad people feel that way, I'm glad people feel like there are books to bring into their home that they can enjoy with their family, there's also a group of people, including myself, who are very frustrated with the books produced today. And so both sides have valid experiences, both sides have valid opinions, and both need to be acknowledged. But let me know what you think. Let me know. I've kind of ran through like the main points on that reel. If you want to see the reel, if you want to flip through the comments yourself, it's pinned in my reels on my Instagram account. If you want to flip through it, I just think it was very important to kind of discuss this kind of stuff, especially talking about children's books today and kind of what's being offered for families. So let me know down below. What do you think? Do you think they're all just wonderful and great, or are you frustrated? So let me know your thoughts. And also, if you wouldn't mind liking the video, it appeases the algorithm gods. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already. I love to share just kind of the behind the scenes of everything. In my last video, I shared me making my ribbon bookmarks for my new launch. That's going to be happening on July 30th. So I'd love for you guys to check out that collection. It's going to be so much, it's so cute. It's inspired by Charlotte's Web. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.